Hey guys, welcome to the Ramsey Paul Show. It is Wednesday, April 15th. Tax day, tax day. Hope you got all your taxes in. That'd be great if we could eventually one day get rid of income tax. You know how wonderful that'd be if the tariffs would provide for that. I'm skeptical. I'm really skeptical of that. One of the things I've noticed about Trump, and we saw it in his first administration, he comes out, like a lion. He has all these great ideas. And I'm going to eliminate tax on tips, no tax on Social Security, eliminate capital gains tax. I'm going to deport all the illegal aliens. We're going to end the war in Ukraine on day one. He just has all these grandiose ideas. We're going to bring back all the manufacturing. And he always oversells everything, and that's part of the problem. And that's his style. I've always been taught it's better to undersell, right? Just basically don't set expectations so high, and then when you exceed it, people are excited. But Trump tends to oversell. And because of that, people get all black pilled and they're like, oh, Trump is not doing what I thought he would do. And, there's just some realities in politics. You can't always do what you want to do. I mean, there is Congress, there are courts, you have the media that's hostile towards them. And in some cases, you can't control the actions of others. Like when it gets down to Ukraine and Russia, he can't control Putin or Zelensky, really. I mean, he can try to make threats to them. So we're seeing a little bit about that now. I don't regret voting for Trump. And I don't think most people do. In fact, that's kind of a meme that the left has been trying to push, the media. They try to find someone, oh, I voted for Trump 3 times and now I really regret it because of his tariff policies or something like that. I'm like, he always talked about tariffs. What are you talking about? So I think that's a little forced meme that the media is trying to do, the narrative. I don't really see that necessarily happening. And by the way, guys, thank you for joining the show. If you're new to the show, welcome. We do this Monday through Friday. Monday through Thursday, we do this at 11 a.m. And at Friday, we have our evening show, which is a lot of fun at 8 p.m. Central. And this Wednesday night, I do the Wednesday wrap up with Z-Man. That's a great show, a lot of fun. This week, we're going to talk about Christianity in America. We're going to talk about, the wokeness in the churches now with all the LGBTQ stuff and women priests. And we'll talk about the Christian Zionist movement. And I want to talk about how it's become for everyone in our sphere to become Catholic or Orthodox. So we're going to talk about that. And what does that mean? What does that mean? If you're like, I'm a devout Catholic, that's an e-whore. What does that even mean? Are these people, I'm Catholic, but I never go to mass. It's like they're wearing a skin suit. So I want to talk about that too. And what role religion really has in America now. It's interesting because America used to be a very Christian nation. That's why we have federal holidays of Easter, and Easter is coming up this Sunday. And Christmas and Thanksgiving, give thanks to God, not give thanks to Allah or or Satan or whatever the other religions. So it has changed, and we've seen that change our society. But guys, thanks for being here. And I really do appreciate your interaction with the show. It helps keep it on the air. Super Chats, I have the link below. Super Chats is on YouTube. Rumble has rants. I appreciate those. The link below is Powerchats. I like that. And if you want a option, alternative to a Power Chat, there's Stream Elements. And I'll get your chats throughout the show, but otherwise I'll look at the end of the show, and I promise to get through them all. I appreciate it. Oh, and tonight we have our roundtable. It's a lot of fun. We get together and we discuss an issue. I think this week is going to be open forum, and we have a great community, and we do this. It's a semi-private video. You have to have the link. It's on Rumble, and it's a good way to hash out. So to be part of it, and that's tonight at 7. Let me send you the link so you guys can sign up on Substack and be part of the community. It's a lot of fun, and I do appreciate it. All right. We will get going and through some of the news here. Let me just bring up what's happening. What's happening? All right. There's this thing about some Maryland man. He doesn't look like a Maryland man. He's an illegal alien from El Salvador who two judges have ruled as part of MS-13, a foreign terrorist organization. El Salvador doesn't want to give him back, nor do we want him back. So let's listen to this. Give you my comments. And is that Pam Bondi? Is she the Attorney General? I think. Yeah, Pam Bondi. I'm not sure how much I like her so far. She looks like, after her stint on the Trump administration, she is angling for a Fox News job. She looks like a Fox News chick, the blonde hair, the tits, the cross, all of that. She's, that's going to be her next gig. All right, let's see what Barbie here has to say about the situation.
Jesse, when you're listening to all these liberal reporters, they keep calling him a Maryland man. He's not a Maryland man. He's part of a foreign terrorist organization. He's a member of MS-13 who, as you laid out in your monologue, came to this country and committed just gang acts. He was caught, and two judges, an immigration judge and an appellate judge, ruled that he was an MS-13 member, as well as ICE's testimony. Yet his attorneys are saying he's not affiliated with the gang. They're wrong, and he has no right to be there. But for an extra step in paperwork, just like you said, he would go right back to El Salvador, which is his home country, where he belongs. And President Bukele does not want to give him back to the United States, nor do we want him back.
Right, so that's it.
Jesse.
Yeah, I agree with this. A couple of things about this. Illegal immigrants, they need to go. I don't care if they're part of gang members or not. That shouldn't be really relevant. He doesn't belong here. He's not part of this country or heritage. You can take a look at him. He's not going to add anything productive to this country. Let's be honest. We all know that. He needs to find his life in El Salvador and help make El Salvador great again. He doesn't need to be here. And I'm at the point, I don't really care about ideology, whether it's, we're not following the rules of the judges. That's fascism. I don't care anymore. I want a good life. Whatever political system gives me a good life, that's what I'm for. If a political system results in gang members terrorizing my neighborhood, I don't want that political system. Oh, but it's democracy. Well, then I don't want it. I just don't want it. I don't want any system that's bad for me or my family or my friends. It's that simple. So I don't get into this big, we gotta worry about our first principles and John Locke. And no, I don't give a shit about that. I just want to live in a nice country. And I don't want a person like this in the country. He needs to be back in El Salvador. I don't care if he's a gang member. I don't care his legal status. It doesn't mean shit to me. He's not helping this country. He needs to go. And that's the way that we need to focus on this. So hopefully they'll be able to kick his ass out of here, and that will be a good one. All right, then we have the next story of the day here. See the top stories of the day. Let's see here. Trump freezes $2 billion in funding to Harvard after they doubled down on DEI and refused to address anti-Semitism on campus. Well, there's two things here. DEI is obviously a bad thing. That's just anti-white. But the anti-Semitism, what does that mean exactly? Honestly, what does anti-Semitism mean? And who cares what your thoughts are? In America, the traditional system of the West, your thoughts are your thoughts, your beliefs are your beliefs. So if someone was at Harvard and he was, let's say, a great physicist, but he goes, I just hate the Jews. I just hate the Jews. They're rational reason. I don't really care. I mean, why should we care? As long as he's not breaking a law. No, he doesn't have a right to harass anyone or to set fires or to attack someone. I agree with that. But we already have laws against that. We have laws against assault and battery and vandalism. So right. So we already have the laws. but it's like we have to fight this one particular category. Anti-Semitism means just for Jewish people. We don't have something like anti-whiteism or anything like that. This is what's so crazy. And this is an example of where the right really gets into the premise of the left. And the premise of the left is it's wrong to have heretical ideas. If you guys saw my video about heresy the other day, this kind of feeds into this. This is, oh, you can't have heretical ideas. Well, what do I care? And I think what they're talking about here, they had protests in Harvard last year about Israel and the genocide they're doing in Gaza. And I don't care about the Palestinians. I don't shed any tears about them because I just don't care. Yeah, whatever. I'm in a different place in my life. I care about my community. I don't really care about 6,000 miles away. Yeah, it's a sad story, but sad stories are everywhere. If you're going to worry about sad stories across the globe, you'll just be bawling your eyes out forever. I mean, you just got to let it go, right? And so I don't really care. I know that sounds callous, but at the same time, I don't want to fund Israel because I don't care about them either. I don't care about either side. But if someone wants to protest Israel's genocide of the Palestinians, that should be their right, as long as they're not being violent or burning down the campus or attacking people. I don't care. But we have this idea in the administration and the Republicans now that it's basically Jewish people are a special class of people above all others. That's, I don't know how else to say it, but that's how they look at it. They should get special protection. And by the way, it's so rich to try to claim that Harvard is anti-Semitic. I mean, Harvard is pretty much a Jewish school. I think they're overrepresented by Jews like 500%. It's just like crazy. So, I mean, it's just ridiculous to think all about that. But how Harvard does things, it should be up to Harvard unless we're paying for Harvard. And it seems like we get $2 billion in funding to Harvard. Why are we funding Harvard? Is it rich people go there? They have a lot of rich people donate. If it's a private school, it should be a private school. Let them run the business how they want. I don't think the government should get involved with this. And we certainly shouldn't say, oh, you can't have anyone protesting Israel because that's anti-Semitism. And see, the definition of anti-Semitism has changed so much. But I don't even care what it is. Again, if someone just wants to hate Jews, that's their business. I don't care. That should be their business. But if someone wants to protest Israel. But now they changed the definition of anti-Semitism. Is you could even think, hey, I have nothing against Israel. I just don't think we should have sent our funds there. Oh, that's anti-Semitism. I remember years ago, I did a video about Ron Paul, the sweet old man, Ron Paul, the libertarian. And one of his things is he doesn't believe in giving foreign aid to all these nations. And Ron Paul once said, yeah, I think we should cut all foreign aid. And like David Horowitz or something came out, oh, I can't believe the vicious anti-Semitism of Ron Paul. Not just anti-Semitism, he was vicious. I'm like, what's so vicious about it? Is he advocating killing them? No, he's just saying, I don't think we should fund this ethno state or any state. He didn't even specify Israel. He said every country. It's just so crazy. It's just so crazy. But because the right buys into this, then the left buys into it in their way too. They have their special groups that should get special privileges. And it's just a weird hill to die on. And but this is where Trump is. Of course, we knew this going in with Trump. He was going to do this. But this is, I think they're trying to say, oh, look at these poor persecuted Jews. Like they really are. And then we got to send the federal government to stop Harvard from persecuting the Jews. I'm like, what are you talking about? It's a Jewish institution, pretty much. I mean, it was originally a Christian one, but it's just so bizarre how they think that way. But yeah, they want to clamp down on speech. So the same people that say, oh, we just hate these speech codes. But then, oh, we want to protest Israel. Oh, we're going to kick her ass out of the country. We're not going to tolerate that. Not on my watch. Oh, we want to protest the United States, burn the United States flag. Well, hey, well, we're a free country. We got to allow that. Protest Israel? No, that's a line too far. You're not going to do that. So yeah, that is pretty crazy. But that's where that is. All right. So Trump and the administration is fighting for Israel on Harvard. And let's take a look at, here's this. This little nice young gentleman. He was a great scholar, right? Austin Metcalf and his twin brother. So these were white kids. And they were at a track meet in Frisco when a fellow competitor named Carmelo Anthony pulled out a knife and stabbed Austin in the heart. And then he died in the arms. Now, a judge is releasing this murderer to a house arrest so he gets to go home. And he's lowered his bond from $250,000 from $1 million to $250,000 from $1 million. So what happened? This is where the white kid asked, because I guess Carmelo was in the wrong place in a tent or something at the track meet. And the guy, Metcalf, Austin Metcalf said, hey, you got to get out of here. This is our area. And he, oh, no way. Go fuck you. And he goes, okay. And so he pushed his backpack. And so Carmelo, oh, you pushed my backpack now. You don't disrespect me. Boom, boom. And he stabbed him to death. All right. And obviously that's murder. You can't stab someone because they push your backpack. And all these black pundits, that was standing his ground, man. It's self-defense. I'm like, no, stabbing someone because they push your backpack is not self-defense. What do you think of? What are you thinking of? And then they're like, oh, how about Zimmerman? And say Trayvon. He got off for the same thing. I'm like, no, Trayvon was trying to bash his head in with a cylinder block. Okay, if this white guy, the white kid, was trying to bash this guy's head in with a cinder block, yeah, he could use a knife to defend himself. I would hope same standard. But pushing someone's backpack does not give you a right to put a knife in their heart. Normal civilized people can understand this, but the black community has no idea about this. No idea about this. They think it's perfectly fine. And so obviously it's a racial double standard. We also have here in the United States where blacks get off easier than whites. It's ironic because on the movies and television, oh, it's a double standard. Blacks pay a higher penalty, but it's actually the opposite. But they say, oh, but there's more blacks in prison than whites, and there's such a smaller percent of the population. I'm like, yeah, because they commit more crimes. Yeah, it's like they can't understand that. Oh, it must be a white conspiracy theory, white supremacist. No, it's because they commit more crimes. So as usual, the judge is letting this guy off with basically a slap on the wrist. So yeah, that kind of stinks. All right. Let's pivot over now to what Trump is saying about Ukraine. This is another story. Trump, sometimes he acts so boomerish, I swear to God. All right. So Trump here is saying he was talking about Ukraine. Because you remember, Trump said on day one, I will end the war between Ukraine and Russia. And Putin and Zelensky were like, really? Really? How are you going to do that exactly? I mean, because sometimes there's just not the reason you have a war is because you can't resolve things diplomatically. So you determine it by force, right? It's just that simple. And sometimes you have positions that you can't really compromise. Like you have Russia that's saying the eastern provinces of Ukraine and Crimea are ours. They've historically been ours. The people that live there are ethnic Russians. They speak Russians, and they had a vote, and they voted they want to be part of Russia. This is our territory. And then and we're not giving an inch on that. No way, no how, right? And then you have Zelensky. No, that's our territory, including Crimea. They can't break away. It's just like the American Civil War where the South broke away. We won't tolerate that. Or when the United States broke away from Britain, I guess. We're not going to tolerate that. They got to be part of us. They're Ukrainian. We're not going to give an inch. So you have these two positions that I don't see how you can, even if you're a great negotiator, if people aren't willing to make a deal, there's nothing you can do. And I've been in deals, I've been in business, and yeah, there's give back and forth. But if you both want something and you're not that far off and there's got to be a little give and take, you can make it happen, right? So if you're like buying, say someone wants to buy some property, that happened with Sasha. Someone wanted to buy her property. Well, what you do is you give a good faith offer. Maybe it's a little below market value, but then, but then there could be other factors like, yeah, you're a good person and maybe you'll buy it quicker, but will you pay cash on the barrelhead? And you go back and forth on that, right? But let's say if you have property that's worth, I don't know, I'm just throwing this out, $20,000 an acre, and someone says, yeah, I'll give you 5,000. Then it's like, get the hell out of here. Get the hell out of here. That's not a basis for discussing. Get the hell out. And let's say you really want to keep the property. I mean, everything's for sale though, right? Right. So like, I love my house here. I love where I live. But if one of you guys says, hey, Rams, I want your entire house sight unseen for $10 million, I'm out of here. You got it. Elon Musk, if you're watching, you got it. It's all yours. Have it. So, everything's, there's a price. There's a price for about everything. So like when you have this acres, you have a price. So let's say it's worth $20,000 and you're like, I don't want to sell it. It's been the family forever. I'm really attached to it, but there's a price I would sell it. But when you have the extreme opposites, like I'm not going to sell it unless it's 100,000 an acre. Then you have another guy saying, oh, I'll offer 5,000. Well, there's no reason to get together in mediation or trying to get together a deal with that because you're too far off. It's just a waste of time. And the more I follow this war, and I followed this war quite a bit, they're just too far off. There's nothing that can really be discussed. In fact, technically in the Ukrainian constitution, which doesn't mean anything, I know, but Zelensky put in a thing that it's illegal for Ukrainians to negotiate with Putin or Russia. Well, how in the hell are you going to do this then, right? And so I don't see any negotiation happening. Russia, by the way, is winning the war. So, what's going to happen there? All right, beginning here, Donald Trump. The war between, and why does he always capitalize war? There's no reason to capitalize war. What in the hell school did this guy go to? I can understand young people, they're dumb shits, they don't teach stuff. But come on, Donald, you went to school before I did. They actually taught you how to write. This is bizarre. All right, we're going to go through the boomer capitalization. The war between Russia and Ukraine is Biden's war, not mine. Yeah, we get it. You've said this a million times. We get it, okay? I just got here, and for 4 years during my term, I had no problem in preventing it from happening. Well, maybe. I mean, I don't know if that was a reason. Trump says that's the reason, but we don't really know. Maybe he just didn't get to that point. But I will give it. It wasn't Trump that really instigated it. It really went back to Obama under Victoria Nuland when the United States decided to meddle in Ukraine and overthrow the president. And we put in our puppet. And with Soros, anything that Soros is behind turns to shit. So we do have some responsibility there. And Trump doesn't have anything to do with that. All right. President Putin and everyone else respected your president. And then he goes into his boomer all caps. I had nothing to do with this war, but am working diligently to get the death and destruction stopped. Well, if you had nothing to do with this war, this is really a simple solution. I said this on day one. He doesn't. This is easy. It really is easy. He could get an easy win here. Just when he came in, he should have, but it still have time. He still has time. He can say, hey, I gave it a shot. These guys are not willing to negotiate. We're not going to piss away our money on this war. We don't have the money. We're going bankrupt. And we shouldn't be involved with this war anyway. So Russia and Ukraine, we're not going to give money to Ukraine to fight. We're not going to give money to Russia. We're not going to give intelligence to Ukraine and Russia. We're neutral. I mean, we're happy to help with negotiations, but man, we're washing our hands of this. You guys do what you want. Have fun. We hope you guys have peace. I mean, we prefer peace, but yeah, this isn't our thing. We just get out of it. And then Trump, he could say, I had nothing to do with this war. They asked Biden. I don't have any obligation to continue the war. And I know all the Europeans would scream, but screw them. Who gives a damn what those little bitches think, the leaders like Macron and Starmer and Ursula, the girl boss. Yeah, well, they can fight them. They'll let them fight. See how that goes. And they can't. So just, let them cry. most Americans don't give a shit. We really don't. It's not like in the heartland of America, oh, we got to stand with Ukraine. That was always a forced meme. No one cares. People that care about the border, immigration, the economy. I talk to Sasha all the time. That's what she cares about. She does not ever care about Ukraine one way or the other. And the average person doesn't give a shit about it. Now, the media would carry on if we quit the funding. Oh, Ukraine lost because of Trump. Oh, tragedy. But I don't think it's going to carry any weight besides the chattering class. Then they already hate Trump anyway. So it doesn't really matter. Just cut your losses. And within a year, it will be forgotten. We'll be on some other crisis or whatever. That's how he needs to do this. But for some reason, he's not doing this. If the 2020 presidential election was not rigged, he always likes to throw that in there. It's kind of funny. And it was in so many ways, that horrible war would have never happened. Well, we don't know that, but okay. President Zelensky and crooked Joe Biden did a horrible job in allowing this travesty to begin. Wow. This is interesting. He didn't call out Putin here. He called out Zelensky and Biden for allowing this travesty to begin. And remember, the official reason is Ukraine wasn't doing anything. They didn't do nothing. They're just minding their business. Then the evil big Russia, and they're a big country compared to Ukraine, which is a small country. I'm channeling my Kamala Harris when she was on Root radio station, the black audience. She was talking like this. And they're like bullies. And like for no reason, they invaded because I think Putin wants to take over the world. He's like Hitler. Yeah, he is Hitler. So Putin's Hitler, Trump's Hitler, and Hitler wants to appease Hitler. Oh, it's a tragedy. So anyway, that's what we have there. There are so many ways to prevent it from ever starting, but that is the past. Yeah, we could have prevented it by not meddling in 2014 in the first place, but that is past. Now we have to get it to stop and fast. So sad. Well, no, we don't. We don't have to give it to stop. All we have to do is get the hell out of it because you can't control other people's actions. This is even more than just in life. This is not just in politics. You can only control your actions, not other people. Now, you can put pressure on other people. Don't get me wrong. You can push them and threaten them. But in the end, you can only control what you do. And we only have so much leverage over Putin and Zelensky. And if they're going to refuse, Zelensky's a little bitch. You can't believe him. He's, he's a liar. And so he changes his mind every 10 minutes. And he's always crawling back on his tummy to Macron and Starmer and girl boss Ursula. And they're like, no, you got to fight. And we Brits will be there. We'll be there and fighting for you. Like, yeah, right. You can't even defend your own children against immigrants. Good luck with that. But, so Zelensky has no intention of changing, and Putin's winning. He's winning the war. So why would he, it's being settled on the battlefield. So in this situation, if I was advising Donald Trump, I'd say just, let him at it. That's all. Don't worry about it. Let it go. They're going to do what they're going to do. Say a prayer, Easter Sunday, say a prayer of peace, and then let God handle it, and let that happen. I think that's what has to happen there. All right. Donald Trump Jr. kind of chimed in on this. Let's just take a look at this. No one in my father's administration has fought harder to end this war and bring a lasting peace deal between Russia and Ukraine than Steve Witkoff. I think Steve Witkoff is like a personal friend of Trump's. They go way back. The establishment hates him for it, but real leaders fight for peace, not war. All right, let's take a look.
And Kirill, do you really see a deal emerging? Are you confident?
I think you used a very good word there, Sean, emerging. I do.
Emerging. Well, that doesn't, I don't know what that word means exactly. Well, I know what emerging means, but you could answer, are we going to get a deal or not? Yes or no? Well, we have some emerging deal.
This is the third meeting I've had with him. This last meeting lasted close to 5 hours. We had two of his key advisors in the room at the time, Ushakov and Kirill Dmitriev. And it was a compelling meeting. And towards the end, we actually came up with, and I'm going to say finally, but I don't mean it in the way that we were waiting. I mean it in the way that it took a while for us to get to this place. What Putin's request is to have a permanent peace here. So beyond a ceasefire, we got an answer to that.
Well, yeah. Okay. You didn't have to go to Moscow for 5 hours to get that information. We already know Putin's been very clear on that for the most part, about what he wants. He wants the Eastern Donbass. They consider that Russian. He wants Crimea. They consider that Russia. He does not want NATO into Ukraine. No foreign troops in Ukraine. He doesn't want Ukraine to join NATO. Those are the big ones. And those have been clear forever. Now, the thing that's a little bit more muddy, and Tucker Carlson brought this up to Putin, and it's like, what do you mean by this exactly? But they also said, oh, we want denazification in Ukraine. I'm like, what are you talking about, Putin? The Nazi party hasn't existed for 80 years. What are you talking about? Yeah, there's some troops in Ukraine, and they like to use spicy symbols from World War II, but they're not part of the Nazi party. And you can say, yeah, but they're like them. They have the same beliefs. I'm like, yeah, but what do you want? I mean, they think Ukraine belongs to the Ukrainians. They're nationalists. They actually hate Russians more than their own leader, who's not even Christian or Ukrainian. But, so what are you going to do? What do you want exactly? This is kind of confusing on that end. I think they want Zelensky to go, which he probably will. But okay, so we know what Russia wants. It's not ever been a mystery. And Ukraine, they've said, well, we want all of the territory we think is ours back. And so it's not like we don't understand each other. See, a lot of times when there's the conflict of a deal, let me go back to that buying property where one person, Sasha owns an acre. One person wants it for 5,000, market 20,000. Sasha wants to keep it attachment, but maybe she'd sell it for 100,000. Okay, that's not a problem if we're not communicating. The communication is clear. It's clear. It's just they have no desires. They're too far apart. And I don't think the communication is a problem here. Like somehow Zelensky and Putin, it's just they're not understanding each other. If they just got together, they could understand. Oh, it's just a big mishap. We didn't understand you. Really? We want the same things. Oh, well, what the hell? They have cigars and let's sign a peace treaty and everyone goes home happy. That's not the way it is. I think everyone understands, or at least everyone involved with this that follows this. The average American doesn't understand because the average American doesn't care, and the average American shouldn't care. Who cares? But people that follow this, like I do, I'm into geopolitics. My whole life I've been, so I follow this. It's clear what both sides want. It's just they're really opposed, and it's probably going to be decided on the battlefield. Now, I guess theoretically, you could have some United States only leverage we really have. We don't have any more leverage over Russia, really, because we've done all the sanctions you can basically do. And it hasn't done shit, by the way. So what else we're going to do? Send troops in Ukraine and become our next Vietnam? That's not happening. Russia knows that. Fly off nuclear weapons at Russia? That's not going to happen. We don't want that. So we don't really have anything we can do with Putin, really. And then Zelensky, we could cut off his funding, and then, Ukraine will lose faster. Well, Ukraine's going to lose anyway, because it doesn't have to do with they don't have enough weapons. Although they don't, they're running out, or ammunition. Their big problem is they're running out of men. And you just can't grow men. It typically takes, 9 months to incubate, then 18 years to grow. So it takes a while to get men, right? So it's like we just don't have this out here. So this is a fundamental problem. Ukraine's going to lose. The only question is, does it take a longer time because we keep giving them weapons, or if we cut off the weapons, it will end quicker. Yeah, I say pull the Band-Aid off quick. Just rip it off. Let's just move on. And I think that's a better way to go. Now, maybe if Trump tells Zelensky that, like, hey, this is what Russia wants, these provinces in the east and Crimea, that's the best deal you're going to get. You better take that deal. Otherwise, they could just take all of Ukraine. So that's just the way it is. I know you're not happy about it. You could say it's not fair, but life's not fair. So you take this or not. This is the way it is. That's the only leverage we have. But Zelensky will cry. He'll go to Macron. He'll go to Starmer. Oh, the big mean Trump's been mean to you. Don't worry. We Brits have your back with our 5,000 men who wear heels and think they're women. Yeah, good luck with that. Good luck with that. So that is what's happening there. But I would like to see an end of the war, but it can end quickly just by us getting out of it. So it's not that complicated, really. All right, let's take a look here. Breaking news, China. China orders its airlines to stop accepting new Boeing aircraft and to halt purchases of American-made aviation parts. This was just today. So China is escalating some of the trade war between the United States and Russia. So I guess this is one of the things we do export to China is Boeing aircraft. And China's saying, no more, we don't want them. So that's what's going on with China. How this whole trade thing is going on, I have no idea. I don't think anyone knows because Trump is all over the map on this. Some say it's a 4D chess strategy. Others believe that he's just winging it. I think he's just winging it. I don't think there's any real grand strategy here. Remember, he had Liberation Day. Here's this fancy chart of all the tariffs on every country. And then 2 days later, I was just joking, just joking. That was 4D chess to see who was on our side against China. That's the way we did it. It's really just 10% for everyone. We're going to pause it, except for China. And everyone's like, okay, we didn't really exactly side with you, but okay. So I'm not really quite sure. And then even on China, he goes, well, but yeah, we're not going to put tariffs on iPhones or computers or some electronics. So they're already backing off a lot of this stuff. And again, if you're running a business, especially if you're dealing with factories, you need to really understand the long-term direction. You can't have it change every week. And right now it's every week. I have no idea what Trump is coming up with. I have no idea. I don't think anyone is. I don't think Trump knows. So who knows? Maybe we'll get stronger tariffs. Maybe Trump will just take them off. Could be. He could take all the tariffs off and say, gotcha, punked. This was just a big troll I was doing, mastermind chess. Could be. I don't know. Maybe he will do it. I think the idea is he wants to bring manufacturing back into the United States, which is good. And we've talked about, and we are seeing some results of that. Let's just take a look at this here. There we go. Nvidia commits to $500 billion to build AI computers, plus in the United States exclusively. That's good. This is very big and exciting news. All permits will be expedited. And so it looks like we got some news. And so there are some factories and manufacturing that may come back to the United States. And again, part of this is national security interest, because what is the United States? What do we like to do more than anything else? What's our hobby? Like the Japanese like to go whale hunting, and the Brits, they like to drink tea. What do we like to do? We like to drop bombs. We like to bomb countries. It's fun. And we get good graphics and we go, yeah, ooh, yeah, America, ooh, rah. We like that. And dropping a lot of bombs in country, so it requires a lot of money and there's some security risks. And if we outsource all our factories and electronics to China, a potential enemy, you don't have to be like a brilliant strategist to say, maybe this is not a good idea. Like if you're playing a board game, and your enemy, you give your factories to all your enemy. I would think, is that a good idea or not? Let me think. I don't know if that's a good idea. And I would say it's not. So that's part of the issue they're doing there. So, okay. So we'll see what happens with the tariffs, but they're still in flux. The market's been kind of crazy about it. And some more when it comes to Great Britain. Let's just take a look at this here. This is Trump concerning his trade relations with Great Britain. This is GB News. Is this Great Britain news? They have like they look British, right? Let's listen to them. Are they?
Let's hear what JD Vance has had to say today. You see,
Yes.
I think this man should be in entertainment. And Miriam disagrees with me. She quite admires him, but I do. He's the sort of guy that I would pick a fight with.
Oh, like you would, you pudgy little guy. Yeah, right. Well, let's do it. Let's have a fight. Come on, JD Vance against this English cuck. Let's do this, right? And these are, we Brits, we're real tough against white guys. Well, but he would never say this about a Muslim. No. Could you imagine? Yes, I want to pick a fight with this Iman. It'd be over. The British police would be coming in, arresting him for hate charges. Yeah, you can see that already happening.
I think.
Who would win though, Eamon?
Well, I'd be very happy to take him on. I mean, I think Northern Irish politicians, for instance, you look at the Unionists, you look at the Republicans, the Sinn Féin, the DUP, whatever, and I think there's a lot of nonsense goes on in general politics where you just say, never. You know, that's not going to happen.
He's not that kind of politician.
He is that kind of politician.
He's from a.
He's a big mouth. He's a smart aleck.
Have you read his autobiography?
No, I haven't. But
I
I
would
just know
highly
what to say about
recommend
him.
She seems to like him. She's pretty cute. She could lose a few pounds, but pretty cute. But this guy's trying to act like this old pudgy guy's acting like a tough man.
Your life, and it'd say, "What did you say? You talking to me? You talking to me?" That's what I'd be saying.
I mean,
Yeah, I'm sure you would. Little guy.
he is direct. He's not particularly polite about people. But I think what I like about him is he's one of the very few major world leaders who's willing to tell the truth about where we've got to. So he's willing to stand up to European leaders and say, do you know what? You've blown all your money on welfare, none of it on defense. Do you know what? You talk the talk about being against Putin, but you're still spending billions of dollars on gas, and you've outsourced your industry and your energy policy.
With you in that, Miriam. I think it's the way he goes about it sometimes.
Ruffles.
Oh, way he goes about it just hurts his little feelings. Like, what do we care if we hurt their little feelings over there?
Feathers, but sometimes that's what's
You
needed.
got to ruffle those feathers, you're thinking.
Yeah.
So anyway, he says that a trade deal between Britain and the US is highly likely.
Yes, this was in an interview with the online magazine Unheard, and he said that.
And by the way, I disagree. I think JD Vance is not a smart aleck. I think he's very articulate. I think he's more articulate than Trump by far. I don't know. I just don't see that.
White House is working very hard and suggests that a US-UK trade.
What's this? Is this a trade deal with Africa? I don't understand. They got the wrong footage up here by mistake. I guess this is a trade deal with Uganda or something.
Relationship will be easier to agree to as we have a much more reciprocal relationship. Well, let's cross live to Westminster and get the latest with our reporter, Adam Cherry. Adam, we've just been discussing our different views about JD Vance in the studio, but he has been pretty harsh about Europe over the last few months. Do you think there's a kind of softening?
I don't think JD Vance has been harsh with Europe. I think he loves Europe. He said he loves Europe. That's our heritage. That's his people. Our people came from Europe. JD Vance is similar ethnic background as my family or Sasha, Scots-Irish. And we love the Europeans. And what JD Vance is saying is Europe, your threat to you is not the Russians. They're not going to invade. Despite your fear porn, Putin's going to invade France. No, he's not. He probably should. That'd probably be good for France. But sadly, he's not. You have an ongoing invasion that you're facilitating of the third world coming in your country, stabbing your kids. And if you object to it, you go to jail. Yeah, that's the situation in Britain right now.
Of his relationship with the Europeans now, or is this just refined to Britain?
No, I think it's confined to Britain, actually. If you read the quotes in the interview, he's pretty excoriating about most of Europe, particularly Germany, claiming that the US, for his entire lifetime, has been subsidizing European security.
That's not a claim. That is true. We've been paying the most of NATO. We've been the world's police. And this is something that's always kind of bugged me a little bit. You know, the Europeans, oh, we're so sophisticated. We have universal health care. Oh, you Americans are so stupid. You don't have that. I'm like, yeah, we're paying for your defense, right? Well, we have a defense. What? Those 2 tanks that over there that don't work? Are you shitting us? So it's a joke, right?
And argues that that undoing that and allowing Europe to stand on its own 2 feet, which is a sort of précis of his words, is a good thing for Europe and for the US. Now, if you take a look at his words specifically on the UK, yes, he's much softer, and he's talking specifically about President Trump's view towards Britain. He says that the president has a real cultural affinity towards the UK.
Right. Most America did. And a lot of people don't understand this now, but it used to be given. Britain was our motherland. That's the people that founded Americans were not African Americans. Sorry, they weren't. I mean, they were farm labor. No. The people that founded this country weren't Germans. They weren't Russians. I guess Ben Shapiro would say they were Jews, but they weren't Jews. They were Brits. The British people, or English specifically, came over here. The other people did too. But that's why, what language do we speak to this day? German? No, we speak English because of that. And our customs and our common law, our heritage is very British. And Ramsey, my name goes back to Scotland, right? My grandmother's name, Jones, Wales. And so, I mean, we're just here.
And we've seen Trump mention this several times over the last several years, and particularly in his first term. The president really loves the United Kingdom. This is J.D. Vance speaking. He loves the Queen. He admires and loves the King. It is a very important relationship. And he's a businessman. He has a number of important business relationships here, but I think it is much deeper than that. And he says that is the reason why the reciprocal relationship between the US and the UK, partly why it's easier to make, in theory, a trade deal to lower those tariff barriers that were imposed at the start of this month. Now,
yeah, see, and this is something I don't think the Brits feel the same way about us, unfortunately, at least the British government. But we've always felt that, like Ben Shapiro considers his ethnic homeland to be Israel. Our homeland is a little bit different because it wasn't so much. We moved away. We had our own independence. And we fought a war with England, but they're still kind of the motherland. And there's always been that close tie. Logically, if there should be one special relationship we have in the world with a country, it shouldn't be Israel, because Israel wasn't around. Sorry, Douglas Murray. It wasn't around until 1948. And their Judaism, this country wasn't Jewish, it was Christian. And it was founded by mostly white Protestants, some Catholics, but mostly white Protestants. And that was a British heritage. So they should be our special country that we have a relationship with, not Israel, if you need to have a special relationship. But the problem is, England has taken a lot of our woke ideas, but they take everything to the extreme, and they're just like crazy now. And they're like, okay, our goal in England is to eliminate the white population and Christian population. So I don't think anymore we have those close ties, because they have a different religion than a lot of us do in America.
And that'll be music to the ears of UK government officials. Jonathan Reynolds, the business secretary, has been trying to get a deal over the line for the last couple of weeks, of course, since these tariffs were imposed as part of Liberation Day.
The tariffs on Britain are only 10%, by the way. So it's not like with China over 100%. I think most of the world is 10% now, I believe, except for China.
Not there yet, so I don't think they're going to be dancing on the tables necessarily, but it is encouraging, and it will hopefully, according to some government sources, it will go beyond just simply lowering trade tariffs and actually extend to goods and services as well. We don't know the specifics again, as I say. The Chancellor Rachel Reeves will hopefully have something to present within the next month or so, but we are just waiting and seeing at this point, although this...
What would we buy from Britain anyway? That's a serious question. What the hell do they make in Britain? I think they run financial scams in London, and they import Pakistanis, and Indians. But what else do they do exactly? I'm not really sure. They don't have steel. They just got rid of their steel mills. Do they make anything in Britain still? I guess a couple of luxury cars. Aren't Bentleys made in Great Britain? Maybe that. I'm not really sure what they do in Britain. So I don't know what they would export that we would want anyway. I mean, they're just kind of a small island. They've kind of deindustrialized. I don't know what they do. They tend to arrest each other for social media posts. I think that's their industry, arresting each other for saying naughty things.
This, of course, looks encouraging.
Of course, it is deeply ironic, isn't it, that Sir Keir Starmer, who was so opposed to Brexit, who campaigned to have a second referendum and rejoin the EU, is now going to benefit enormously politically from Brexit. Of course, the EU, we know that Trump doesn't like the EU. He thinks it is a protectionist racket imposing trade tariffs on the US, ironically, given how against tariffs we now all are. Do you think Starmer will have to acknowledge the Brexit benefit of this, or do you think it will be papered over?
I kind of like her. She's kind of I don't know who she is, but she's kind of, I like how she talks. She's kind of fun.
Interesting question. I mean, perhaps through rhetoric, but through action.
Look at that one guy. Yeah, I'm ready to fight JD Vance. Yeah, go at it.
It looks like the UK is much more interested in getting closer to Europe, but both through defence and security, but also you see through food regulation rules across the headlines over the last couple of days as well. There are whispers that they're willing to follow Europe's lead in that area as well, and agriculture. So he might say through gritted teeth that the UK is in a special position here. I don't think he's particularly keen to say that it's because of Brexit, though some of his lieutenants like Darren Jones will admit as much, David Lammy less so. But he might say it's because of the UK's historic relationship with the US, which extends beyond geopolitics.
So, yeah, we'll see if we get a trade bill with Britain. Although I don't really know. It's not like they're China, though. Like, what did we trade with Britain? I can imagine what we'd want from Britain. I'm not sure. I am not sure. But that is what's coming up there. Okay, let me just get this here. Oh, wait a minute. I had another thing. Where is this here? Here we go. I had my links all kind of mixed up here. Interesting. This was some polling. Wait, what's up? Hang on here. Yeah, here we go. There we go. I finally brought this up. Here we go. Just take a look. NBC poll shows that Republicans are increasingly identifying with President Trump's MAGA movement. The President of the United States is pleased. Just out, a NBC poll says that MAGA is gaining tremendous surprise. I am not at all surprised. More voters are identifying with Trump's MAGA movement. The share of registered voters who said they're part of Make a Great America movement is increasing thanks to the coalescing of Republicans around Trump. And this is actually a major thing that historically we're going to look back on, almost like a Lincoln redefined the Republican Party. It was kind of a new party, but he put his mark on it. And I would say FDR really changed the Democrat Party. Reagan had to change the party too. Now we have Trump is really changing the Republican Party, because parties over time aren't static. And this is why when like someone like Dinesh D'Souza, did you know that Jefferson Davis, the president of the Confederacy, was a Democrat? And I didn't know that. Really? Dinesh, those bad Democrats. I mean, it's stupid, right? Parties change over time. And the Republican Party has many times changed. It changed from Lincoln to throughout the years. Eisenhower, it was a little Calvin Coolidge. And then you have the Eisenhower. And then, but I think you had some radical changes, definitely with Reagan. He kind of took it away from what they called at the time the Rockefeller Republicans, because at the time people thought Republicans, there were these guys like Monopoly Man with a monocle, a big top hat. Oh, I'm a rich Republican. And that was the idea of Republicans. It was always kind of nonsense, but that was like the image. And you did have something like the Rockefellers. And it kind of got away from that with Reagan, more of a populist candidate. Reagan was an actor from California, and he really established the Republican Party. So people forget now, but when Reagan first was coming in the Republican Party, there was a lot of pushback against it. A lot of people did not like Reagan coming in, because you had Gerald Ford, you had Spiro Agnew, and you had all the other types of Republicans. I forget some of their names now, but they were the more moderate kind of so-called moderate Republicans. And Reagan was considered somewhat of a radical reformist populist. And then after years, the Republican Party became synonymous with Reagan. And you saw that leading up to Trump. You had all these like Mike Pence types. They reference Reagan, like referencing the book of Matthew. Let's or the Apostle Paul. Let's see what the Apostle Paul said here about how we should live our lives. Because the Apostle Paul, when he wrote the Romans, he was inspired by the Holy Spirit. So is President Reagan. He's inspired. Let's listen to what Reagan says. They treat Reagan that way now. And that was always the thing. So if you're in the Republican Party, you worshiped Reagan. And that was a huge change, because it wasn't like that in the 60s and 70s. It really wasn't. He was really a controversial figure. But he fundamentally changed the party. And then Donald Trump in 2016 came on the scene, 2015 maybe. And oh, holy hell, we're not going to have this guy in the party. You are not going to be the nominee. Oh, what would Reagan think? That was their big thing, and all these cucks like Pence. Oh, what would Reagan think? Instead of what would Jesus do, bracelet, what would Reagan do, bracelet? That's how they asked. And now Trump came in and he was loud, brass. He was different. He believed in tariffs. He believed in securing our borders. Remember, the Republicans, it's just an act of God. We can't keep all these Mexicans flowing in. There's no way to handle that. You know what we need to do? We need a candidate that has a Mexican wife. That's our solution. Remember Jeb Bush? That was the idea. And Trump was like, no, we need to get them hell out. They're changing the country. And Trump didn't actually do that, but it was a good message. And people voted for that. That was the MAGA movement. And it's interesting now, after the second term, it's been like 3 terms in a way. You had the Joe Biden corpse in there. Now, see, Joe Biden didn't change the Democrats at all. He was a symbol of how the Democrats were decaying, because he was literally decaying before our eyes. It was an embarrassment. So then Trump got one again. Trump winning again has now solidified that the Republican Party pretty much is Trump, right? So if you don't like Trump, you're going to have troubles in the Republican Party. That's just the way it is. It's weird how that changed. And again, it's like Reagan. So love him or hate him. And there's some things I love about Trump, some things I hate about Trump. I love a lot of his ideas about protecting the border and putting America first and keeping jobs in America. I'm not big on his, we got to fight all these wars for Israel. Not a fan. But he has changed the party. And if you're a Republican, you're pretty much a Trump supporter. All right, I'm now going to go through rants and super chats and power chats. I've decided to kind of save them towards the end just so the show flows better. But thank you very much here. Rams, Charlie Kirk is correcting CNN assertion who is violent. Clip included. Okay, let's watch this clip here. All right, let's just take a look at this here.
America was found, make America great again to when they came and massacred the indigenous people, millions and millions of indigenous people.
But by supporting the murder of a healthcare CEO, does that doesn't that make your side as culpable?
I don't hear them condemning the Proud Boys, who he said stand by, whatever it is.
This lady, you could tell she's not an American black. I don't. She needs to go back to the home continent. I'll tell you that right now.
Once they start condemning them, then I will reassess. But until then, no, I'm not reassessing.
Yeah.
About a third of the building has been blown away.
And while America's roots are soaked in bloodshed, violence in the country today is mostly from right-wing extremism.
That's not true.
From Oklahoma City to Charlottesville to January 6th. There is simply no equivalent on the left.
America.
Yeah, that's bullshit. See, the reason how they do this, and violence, there's mostly from right-wing extremism. There's no equivalent to the left. I haven't read what Charlie Kirk said, but they do this in the ADL and SPLC. They do this magic trick. So let's say if blacks should kill whites, they don't call that as a hate crime because by definition to them it isn't. But if a white kills a black, by definition, that's a hate crime. So they're like, hey, 100% of hate crimes are whites against black. There's almost no hate crimes with blacks against whites, none. I'm like, yeah, because you count all attacks on blacks and whites as not hate crimes. It's just like, what the hell? It's crazy. It'd be like I've up on my highway in front of my house here. I said, there's only red pickup trucks that go up and down the highway. Only red pickup trucks. And someone comes up to me and says, what are you talking about? I hardly ever see a red pickup truck. I see all sorts of other cars. Yeah, I don't count those though. I don't count those as vehicles or cars. I just count red pickup trucks. And based on my counting then, we only have red pickup trucks. It doesn't make any sense. This is what they do about this. So, again, you had the Antifa rioting, you had the BLM murders. It is just crazy. So, but again, they just use that little trick. They just don't count it. So whatever. Hell, I'm not going to count theirs then. So ours, it's just that simple. All right. Thank you for the rant. And again, if you have more rants coming in, Row House, $5. Thank you. And let me read the rant. Ram's reaction to the politician who was his opposite. All right, let's just take a look at this one. All right. This is, listen closely to John McCain as he reveals his globalist agenda and says we must move away from nationalism. I haven't listened to this. All right, John McCain, I don't think he applied this standard to Israel, that he's opposed to Israeli nationalism. I don't think that. I think he supports Jewish nationalism. I'm just saying. I think he's being a good little boy in saying that. No, I don't oppose. They have their nationalism, but we can't have nationalism. It will bring back Mustache Man. We're just so evil. We need more Haitians in. Not my neighborhood because I'm rich, but you guys get them, take them in.
We are asleep to the necessity of our worldship, of our world leadership, and to the opportunities and real dangers of this.
What's the guy behind him? The guy behind him, he looks like he's asleep, which is understandable. This John McCain could put people to sleep. Is that guy asleep?
World. We are asleep in our...
We are asleep. Well, the guy behind you looks damn asleep. He looks like he's dead.
Echo chambers, where our views are always affirmed and information that contradicts them is always fake. We are asleep in our polarized politics, which exaggerates our differences, looks for scapegoats instead of answers, and insists we get all our way all the time from a system of government based on compromise, principled cooperation, and restraint. All the while, the associations, rules, values, and aspiration that comprise the international order we have superintended for 3/4 of a century are under gathering attack from regimes that desire a world less just and less free and more corrupt. And they are under attack from forces within liberal democracies themselves, parties that preach resentful nationalism rather than enlightened self-interest, nativism rather than equal justice.
Well, I want what's as Z-Man often says, whenever someone says something like this, you should say, well, who says? Who says that it's wrong for me to want what's good for me and my people? Why should I have to worry about other people? Who says that I need to, instead of nationalism, I need enlightened self-interest? I think nationalism is self-interest. Because, like that old man in Britain got arrested because he couldn't hear well and he asked the guy to speak English, and now he faces hate crime charges. That's not in my interest. That's not in the interest of my people. Nationalism is in the interest of my people. And by the way, our best little friends in the Middle East think that about their people. That's why they have their homeland. And what makes it enlightened? What's enlightened self-interest? He said enlightened self-interest, he means you got to bring in people that hate you and want to take from you. That's enlightened self-interest. And I'm saying, who says? Soros? Who's saying this exactly? Nativism rather than equal justice. Well, who says? I mean, why should I provide equal justice to people that shouldn't even belong here? Who says I need to do this? And you're saying it, you're just making it self-evident. I disagree with that.
It's time to wake up.
I don't know if he's talking to us or that old man behind him that's nodding off. Look at the guy, his head's like, I mean, at least if you're on camera, hold your head up. No, I think the guy's asleep. Maybe he's talking to the guy behind him. To be fair, he's kind of boring. But thank you, Rojas, for that. That was a great, I appreciate that. All right, let's see here. Let's see, do I get a power chat? No power chats. And let me just see if I have some super chats here. I don't think I do today. Let me just make sure. I don't want to miss anything. All right. All right. Well, guys, we'll wrap it up. Thank you today. It's been fun being here with you today. And tonight we have the roundtable. So if you haven't, be sure to subscribe to me on Substack. A lot of fun. We're going to have an open forum. And then back tomorrow with the show. Tomorrow's a busy day. Today's a busy day. I have this show, then the roundtable. Tomorrow we have a show, and we have Z-Man. We're going to talk about Christianity. That's going to be a great show. And then, as always, I do a video every day, so check that out. Subscribe to me on YouTube and Rumble, and follow me on X. I appreciate it. Hey, guys, I love you all. Talk to you guys later. Bye-bye.